Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Well, good morning. We're glad you made Missoula Real Estate Today a part of your weekend again. And Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, who provides us this fine program. Not with us today, but she has supplied a veteran of the real estate shows, Brandon Smith, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group. Welcome back to the show and our first time working together.
Absolutely. Good morning, Denny. Great to be here.
Appreciate you. Let me start with the name, the insurance part. That's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Glidewell Investments. Where does investments come into the business name?
Well, we have two corporations under one roof. We have our insurance side, and then we actually have a wealth management division that handles everything from retirement plans, 401k, bond stocks, mutual funds, annuities, and have a great team of financial planners. And the two businesses, we work well together, and just looking over clients' entire portfolio. If we try to find areas where people are overpaying for insurance and helping them reallocate those dollars to fund their future rather than just write big checks to the insurance companies.
Well, I would imagine one division works very well hand in hand with the other division. If you've got a prospective client or a customer and maybe you're dealing in one of those two fields, well, issues concerning the other field probably come into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Daily. And it just works well together. And sometimes when you have, some worth, you've worked your whole life trying to build these assets, you want to make sure they're properly protected. And so rather than going to a third party, we can handle everything under one roof.
Yeah. Well, a little of your background, Brandon. How did you get involved with Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group, and how long have you been at it?
Yeah, I've been there 15 years, started in 2004 right out of school. And how I got into it, actually I was working for a local bank at the time, and my cousin, who is Paul Glidewell, called me one day and said, "Hey, why aren't you working with us?" And I said, "What's it pay?" And he was
a fair question for a college graduate,
right? Yeah. And so we got together, grabbed lunch, and talked through just kind of the business model and what they were looking to do, and want to know how. I thought I could help and use my background with business marketing and what I went to school for, and so I came along and joined the family business in 2004, and here we are 15 years later.
Wow.
Working with my cousins and growing here in Western Montana.
Kind of keeping it in the family that way,
are,
huh?
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it's kind of one of those wants and needs things. You might not want insurance, but you need it. It's required in many areas. What areas do you feel, I don't want to say most people, but areas of insurance where people are insurance deficient, shall we say? I mean, you look at a portfolio or you review policies and you're going, well, yeah, you've got insurance here, but in this day and age and in a litigious society, maybe a little low. Do you see deficiencies?
Yeah. I absolutely do. I have a bit of a different philosophy, and I believe that most people are overinsured, really paying for insurance they don't need, that necessarily don't even realize they have or don't even want. Policies have become so customizable today that you're able to pick and choose different coverages. So I like to sit down with our clients and walk through and really help them understand what coverages they have, why do they need them, and try to help them lower the cost. When I look at the size of look at Wall Street and look at the size of an insurance company's building compared to the size of my home, the insurance company wins every time. And so if we can really customize a policy to fit your specific needs, the best coverage possible at the best rates possible, it's a win-win. Now, inside of that, absolutely do see areas where individuals are deficient or families or households could have a little more coverage. And that's, I think, the liability side. I think you hit the nail on the head. We do live in such a litigious society that we grind 40, 50, 60 hours a week trying to build and live the American dream. And just one car accident, one trip and fall, one sliding on the ice, you can lose everything, it can be gone. So making sure you're properly protected. So really looking at those liability limits is huge. And what surprises people that, just the cost to go from $100,000 to $300,000 or $500,000 or even $1 million in liability coverage is just, a few dollars a month. Very, very inexpensive. And highly recommend people reevaluate the liability coverage as well as looking, at your contents and making sure your home is insured to value and so on.
Can you give examples of that? When you mentioned, I did not expect that response, but when someone is overinsured, can you give some typical examples of that? And how does that happen? I don't want to suggest that, well, you got suckered, pal, but somehow you acquired some things in a policy that you're either paying too much for or you just don't need. What are typical examples of that?
Just some small quick examples would be, I see homeowners policies that have coverage for kidnap and ransom, theft of Persian rugs.
Oh no.
I know people that have Persian rugs. I don't know a lot of people that have Persian rugs. But these coverages are built into the policies. Yeah. So if we can go in and remove that and save $2 or $3 here or $3 or $4 here, that adds up over the course of a year. But where I like to sit down and talk with people is, one, looking at your deductible. Obviously, the higher your deductible, the lower the rate. But do you really, if you're going to turn in a claim because your TV was stolen, are you really going to turn in a claim, have a $500 deductible to have the insurance company to give you $500 to go replace your $1,000 TV at the risk of your insurance rates going up for the next 3 to 5 years? Probably not. So why even carry a $500 deductible? Or are you even concerned with the possibility of your TV being stolen? The purpose of insurance in its original purest form is to transfer risk. Insurance should cover the things that will financially devastate you, not inconvenience you. And when you start covering to protect the things that are just going to inconvenience you, you're being nickeled and dimed to death, and the insurance company is going to win just due to, law of numbers and probability. So if we're going to insure for those catastrophic events, the fires, the freezing, pipes bursting, the big things that we can't afford to pay for out of our savings, we're going to have lower insurance premiums, which free up dollars to eliminate debt, expand our budget, invest for the future. And so I think, where this whole conversation started was investments in insurance. People today may not be in the place may not be looking to invest, but they may be looking to free up dollars in their monthly budget just to make ends meet. Well, reviewing their insurance is a great place to start because that is something that is controllable where, we can't control and negotiate your power bill, your cell phone bill.
Right.
But what we can look at is, your insurance portfolio.
And then, of course, on the back end of that, you alluded to this, is that, okay, well, it might seem like a silly thing to have on my policy, but what if it happened? Well, okay, but if you file that claim on something like that in that category, what is that going to do to your rates on the back end? Right.
Your rates are going to increase. Now, the amount, percentage, I don't know. It's this black box, and we'd have to look at your specific policy to try to figure out a ballpark, but rates are going to go up. Again, the insurance company always wins, and they have to remain profitable. Our goal is really just sit down and have more of a comprehensive discussion of what do you have at risk to lose? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have some cash in the bank that if your TV was stolen, you can just go buy a new TV? Yeah. Or are you relying on insurance for that? And if the answer is you're relying on insurance to replace your TV, we have a bigger issue. Sure. And we have a team that can help, with working with the Dave Ramsey team being the endorsed legal providers that we are, we have a team that can help look at budget, debt elimination plan. We try to look at the whole picture of personal finances, not just insurance or investments.
This is Missoula Real Estate Today with Diane Beck. Diane not with us, but she invited Brandon Smith of Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here in Missoula. Independently owned. What are some of the advantages, Brandon? You like the idea of being a 100% independently owned insurance group?
Yeah. Being independent really means we work for you. I don't wear a shirt with the logo of a State Farm, an Allstate, Geico. I work for you. And so when you come to me and say, hey, we're looking for insurance, I go to all the insurance companies. We have a dozen or more carriers we look at, can review rates, coverage, options, features, benefits, present back to you pros and cons of all that, and give you the choice of which company you want to be with for all the different reasons. Maybe, here in Western Montana, we have a lot of firearms. And if firearms are important to you, there's companies out there that exclude coverage for theft of firearms. There's companies that have a capped dollar amount on how much they'll pay out for theft of firearms. And then there's carriers who have no limit for theft of firearms. So when we have this conversation of what's important to you and what matters, that helps determine which insurance company you need to be with.
Right.
And so being independent gives us that freedom, gives choice, and then come 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, there's a rate increase, something changes in your life. You don't have to restart the whole process and start calling all the carriers again and comparing rates and coverages and policies. We have 11 other options or more where we can just look at your, roll that data over and present you with options again. So being independent really gives freedom and flexibility to help the consumer maximize their insurance portfolio.
And you did mention several of those bigger name carriers that are well known. How do you go about establishing a harmonious relationship with them? Because, you obviously have to shop around a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I have a great relationship. Know a lot of those guys here in town that work for Allstate is right across the street from our office. And there's things that Allstate doesn't do well. There's things we don't do well. And so we actually, are sending people back and forth to each other. And so it's, I believe as the water rises, all the boats rise. And so, just working together, and I think we're better together. And it's not us versus them. It really is, finding what's best for the individual, for that household, and then providing solutions.
I saw it, I guess, when I was looking through your website a little bit and some of the fine endorsements and whatnot. ELP said, endorsed local provider. How do you get to be an endorsed local provider, and then what's all involved there?
Yeah, so working with Dave Ramsey, who I believe airs Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 here.
Oh, very good.
KGVO.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we've worked with Dave Ramsey since 2009. Went through a series of, an application and some interviews and making sure our financial philosophy and principles align with his and what he coaches. And we were offered the position to be his insurance and investments representative for the state of Montana. And so, if there's individuals that are on Dave Ramsey's site and come across, hey, we're looking for help, insurance questions, budgeting questions, there's a fillable form on a landing page. And if they have a Montana zip code, Dave connects them directly with our office and then also gives us the contact information to reach out and help answer those questions, counsel, review insurance, talk. And so just a huge honor to have the opportunity just to speak into people's lives and really help them with their personal finances. Dave says all the time, if you live like nobody else, later you get to live like nobody else. And so we take that same philosophy to insurance. If, where can we cut corners? Not to cut coverage, but really, what coverages are you overpaying for? What coverages do you not need that are making life challenging for you? They're putting, limits on your budget. And if we can help find ways to reallocate dollars rather than expand the monthly budget, again, it's a win-win.
That's getting back to Diane Beck, Windermere Real Estate, the person that provides this program. Another part of her advertising portfolio, if you will, is that she runs ads during Dave Ramsey's program.
She does.
And I think when people ask me, well, what all, what's the content of KGVO? What all's on there? And I explain, news, a lot of issues-oriented political talk programming, and a financial advice program, Dave Ramsey. And I think when you say that you carry a 3-hour financial advice program, the initial reaction is, oh, that must be kind of dry and dull. But, you get into that, and a lot of it is the host, of course. You got to be a talented host and be able to implement that. But it's pretty compelling. I don't know how much you get to listen, but it's a pretty compelling content on that program.
It is. And it's, I always find when people do call us and say, hey, I need some help here. I mean, the first thing I do is say, I'm so proud of you for calling, because I don't know why. We have therapists and counselors and doctors all around, but when it comes to personal finance, it's almost this taboo to reach out for help. We don't want to talk about it. Don't want to admit we don't have all the answers. And so when people call and say, hey, I need help, can you help me? Can you answer these questions? It takes a little bit of overcoming some just personal pride or even some shame or embarrassment. But once you get together and really start talking about, what is the issue? How can we fix it? Dave says all the time, personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. We all know we should spend less than we make, save, invest for the future, have a plan, but we don't. It's behavior based. And so if we can find tools and resources to help, change behavior, then again, I keep saying it's a win-win. So just providing the community with tools on how to handle their finances, how to build wealth, how to live like nobody else so that later you can live like nobody else really is who we are and what we're about.
What was the process of establishing that relationship with that program? What all was involved there? That goes back, what, about 10 or 11 years?
Yeah, 2009. So really started, I want to say 2007, 2008. I was on Dave's site, and I filled out an application to become an ELP. And I got an auto-generated email back that said, thank you for your application. Currently, we're not in Montana. Should we ever expand, we'll reach out to you. Well, then beginning of 2009, got a phone call, and that's right when Dave Ramsey show broke the airwaves in Montana and said, hey, we're here. We're growing. Are you still interested in being on our team? And so that's really when the conversation started, and flew down to Nashville, had some meetings there, and just went all in. And my personal, and at the time I was a big Dave Ramsey fan. I still am today. I made that sound like I no longer am, but big Dave fan. Just practiced what he preached, and with my own personal finances and getting out of debt and paying for school and medical bills and house, and it worked. And so with my own experience, just made us passionate about who we are, and that became a culture of our office. And so that's, the life-giving message we try to preach at GIIG.
Excellent. Brandon Smith, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here on Missoula Real Estate Today. Also, office in Bozeman, right, Brandon?
We do. We're actually in Manhattan, just outside the Bozeman area. And that was just a... back, I think we opened that location 2006, and just all the new growth that's going on through the Gallatin Valley, Belgrade into Manhattan. There is only one other insurance office between Belgrade and Manhattan, and it's just like I believe it's a farm bureau connected to a bank with all the ranches in that area. Yeah. And so we just saw a great opportunity just to expand our footprint and get involved on that side of the divide.
So as an independent, multiple companies, lots of product options, as we've discussed. Is there such a thing as you have a client that, maybe finicky is not the right word, but you've got somebody that's doing a lot of switching from company to company, from this to that, the other thing? Is there can that get excessive? Can that harm you in any way as a policyholder? Or if that's what somebody wants to do, then that's why Glidewell is there. Yeah,
if that's something somebody wants to do, that's absolutely why we're there, and that's their choice. We have found, and looking at all the studies and research, that if you stay with a company long term, generally you win and come out ahead. There is a bit of a leapfrog game of companies, the up and down with rates, and if you're always chasing the next best rate, just the time you're investing and making the change and all the paperwork, you're not going to come out ahead in the end.
Yeah, it's kind of where I was going with that. Yeah.
But if you do stay with a company long term, there are benefits, and companies do reward you with, accident forgiveness, or you get to a certain point with some carriers where they will they commit to not ever non-renewing you. So it doesn't matter how bad your driving record is, how many accidents you get into, they'll renew your policy. Now, your rate may show for it, but if you have loyalty and you just happen to be in 7, 8, 9, 10 accidents over the course of 2 years because stuff happens, you're going to have a hard time finding insurance elsewhere. But because of your loyalty, you do have a place now. May not be cheap, but a lot of benefits to staying with the company long term.
Another feature that you highlight is claims assistant and advocacy. Where does advocacy come in?
Yeah, so we have a gal in our office who is she's just our director of client happiness is really her title. And it's just making sure clients are happy, just bringing resolve to situations, whether it's a quick transaction or if it's just, hey, walking through a claim, a devastating situation with them. Yeah. And so she will, get on the phone, work with the clients, work directly with the claims department of the insurance companies we represent. And really we try to bring a white glove service to claims are never fun for anybody. Right. And so gal in our office is just phenomenal at being that advocate, going to battle every day for our clients to make sure the claim is resolved in the best way possible. And if there's not coverage, puts her in a position of having to explain to a customer in a tough situation what the coverage limitations or exclusions are. And she's been on our team. She was there before I started, so she's been there about 22 years and is just phenomenal and does a great job.
So the number of years you've done this so far, you've probably acquired some success stories that you like to share that make you feel pretty good in that field there.
Absolutely. Just, there was a house a couple of years ago where a pipe broke and water, it was a 3-story home, and water all the way down the wall in the sheetrock from the 3rd floor all the way down into the basement. And with the restoration company coming in and drying out the home and pulling sheetrock was just a nightmare. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in this claim, and just the damage, the work, the hours, the pulling carpet, replacing carpet, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
That family was devastated, just being out of their home, being, away from their normal life, their routine. Everything was different. Your meal prep, your laundry, it's non-existent.
Right.
And just, gave me a lot of pride seeing daily our team involved, hands-on, being there, getting food, gift cards, vouchers, getting, whatever we could do to help make the process move as quick as possible while still, honoring the guidelines of the policy and coverage. But just having an advocate for people goes a long ways. And with those national carriers, it's hard when you're calling an 800 number and don't have somebody local. You can't call Geico and get the same person twice. And in the middle of the claim, somebody calling from the East Coast or even overseas to try to help you can just be frustrating. So to have somebody local where you can walk into our office, where we can come meet you at your home, we can go grab coffee together, goes a long ways.
A lot to be said, isn't there, about customer service like that, essentially from the same person that you purchased the policy from.
Right. Yep. So, and we give direct access, cell phone numbers, text, call, fax, email, Facebook message, it's 24/7. We can be, get a hold of me, locate us. We're
sure,
stop by the office.
And even that's a great example you gave. But in a situation like that, even if you don't have a lot to report on the daily update, it's got to be really very reassuring to that client, that customer, that policyholder that, well, at least they reached out and touched today.
Right.
Maybe we didn't get a lot of information or something we wanted to hear today, but at least you are always there doing it.
Yeah. And I believe, it really comes back to our business model and our philosophy, and it really is about relationships. Mm-hmm. We're not here just to peddle another policy. We generally, our office, the culture of our office is just to love people and help them through tough situations, help them find, nobody likes talking insurance. The highlight of your day is not going to be sitting down with one of our agents to talk about your policy, but it's necessary and it is important. And we see a lot of advertising thrown at us that's funny and gimmicky and billions of dollars spent on phenomenal advertising. But when it comes down to it, insurance is really serious and shouldn't be taken lightly. So I just encourage people, hey, sit down, just take an hour once a year, sit down, review this, talk this through with somebody that's not going to try to push or peddle a policy, sell you something, somebody who will come around and sit on the same side of the desk as you and have a conversation about, what do you really need in life and how can we help you reach your goals?
Brandon Smith, Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group here in Missoula on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Brandon, what do you think? Missoula overall, or Western Montana as a whole, is this a pretty healthy insurance market? I mean, can you kind of look at the landscape and go, yeah, we're on the whole, this community pretty well insured, or do you see a lot of deficiencies for whatever reason, financial needs or forgetfulness, or for whatever reasons? But on the whole, does it feel like a pretty average place, or better or worse than ever? What do you think?
I would say better than average. Look, especially when I look around the country on a national level. I think the Northwest insurance is very safe, secure. The carriers are all doing well, profitable in the Northwest region, which means they're there to, they're paying their claims. There's retention. Clients are happy with the carriers. On the home side, we have fire season, which has become an actual, fifth season here in Montana every year. Insurance is maintained. We haven't seen huge rate increases due to the potential of fire damage in Montana. The rate increases we're seeing are just inflation, cost of living.
Does that surprise you at this point?
Would you? I would say yeah. I would have said 5-7 years ago. What is it? There's so much more behind. My questions are more, growing up here in Western Montana, we didn't have fire season. Then all of a sudden, 2001, 2002, now we do. Right. So, we're not here to get into politics, but is that a logging issue? Is that, it could be, climate change. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But there's always a cause and effect. So the effect is I'm not seeing the financial hit to the insurance that we probably thought we would have seen, 7-10 years ago. Yes, insurance has increased, but also has the cost of milk and produce at the grocery store. So the cost of living has gone up in general. So, but when I look at from on a car insurance side, last report I saw was somewhere between 22 and 26% of Missoula drivers are uninsured. That doesn't sound like a lot until you're driving down Reserve Street and 3 out of every 10 vehicles you pass don't have insurance.
No, that sounds like a lot.
That's
to me.
A lot.
I would not have thought. I suspected that. I'll bet you that number is a little bit above average, but to me that sounds like a staggering.
Yeah, 22%.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, but I get that because people are struggling. Economy's been tough. Finances are tight. People, behavior. And so if we can help people reevaluate their insurance portfolio, home or auto, and find ways to free up dollars, that's why we're here.
We talked about this a little bit. You mentioned where some policy or some insurance, you can be overinsured. There's some things on your policy that not necessarily need to be there. What are some other problem areas you see or common mistakes maybe made with insurance policies?
I think one of the biggest common mistake I see, especially on the homeowner side, is when people purchase a new home and their lender says, hey, you need insurance before we can close a home. And they just get insurance to suffice the mortgage company and to close on the loan without really sitting down and reviewing what they do.
Yeah.
And then they close, there's an appraisal and the inspection, and they close and they move and they're excited, and they never get back around to really evaluating what they need. All they wanted was make sure that the coverage on the dwelling was sufficient to appease the loan, and then never really sit down and look at the internal limits, coverage for their possessions, liability, medical payments, other structures on the property. And then a claim happens and we're the bad guy. And so, I think the biggest swing and miss is not taking the time to understand what you have and why you have it.
A special thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate today. Rob Fleming with Mann Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett with MakeItMissoula.com. Gosh, we're just about done here, Brandon. I thought we were going to have maybe 15 or 20 minutes to discuss our mutual passion of Montana Grizzly basketball, and we didn't make it.
We didn't.
We'll have to have you back soon.
We'd love to. Go Grizz.
If people would like to learn more about Brandon Smith and Glidewell Investments and Insurance Group, tell us about your location, your website, all the ways to get in touch and reach out to you.
Yeah, our physical location here in Missoula, we are at 1750 South Avenue, right on the corner of Garfield and South Avenue, just a block east of Southgate Mall, across from H&H Meats. www.giig.com. I'm on Facebook, 406-258-0022. Feel free to call me, text me at that number. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, look me up. Look up GIIG. We are here and alive and doing well in the community. And then Gallatin Valley, we're there as well.
All right. And you do a fine radio show, too. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Denny. Always an honor. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Stay warm.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. We hope you found this morning's information to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.